A beautiful Friday morning. It's nice and sunny here in Winona. So hopefully the sun is shining where you are. And I'm going to come back to my mat and bring my phone because I need that for a reading later. All right, so I'm going to come into Sukhasana, or easy seat, on my blanket. However, if you would like to start in a reclined position, lying down, right, Anne? I know I'd be getting a face if I said we have to start in Sukhasana. So again, feel free to get yourselves comfortable on your mat or whatever you have to practice on this morning. Excuse me, and my voice will be doing that a few times because I'm nervous. So we're going to settle in and just breathe. I need this as much for me as for sharing with you. So as I'm sitting here, just settling in, sort of rooting into, in my case, my blanket and my mat and my sitting bones connect with the earth. But if you're lying down, maybe there's some more body parts that are connecting. So just soften and root down wherever you are connecting, and notice the body that is what you're living in this morning. It's been quite a journey. We're who knows how many days into this new social distancing. Isn't that going to be the buzz phrase for 2020? So just acknowledge how you're feeling physically, and no judgment. Okay, we've all been doing different things in our new normal, different levels of activity. So notice if you have anything that you need to sort of take care of this morning, any body parts sort of talking to you. There's an expression that listen to your body whisper, so you don't have to hear it scream. So just sort of tuck that back into your mind, and just meaning that be mindful and take care of yourself. It's your practice. Do what you feel comfortable doing, and just let the other things go. And I won't know the difference. And even if I did know the difference, it wouldn't matter, just as long as you're safe and you're breathing. So that gives us a nice segue into breathing. So important in our practice, in our life, obviously. And just sort of drawing some awareness to our breath is going to help us tap into or acknowledge our feelings, our emotional being right now. So obviously connected with our physical being, which we just sort of took a little notice to. And now think about where you are emotionally. Again, no judgment. This is a time that has maybe created anxiety in our lives, that fear of the unknown, and just if we acknowledge that and try to put things into perspective and notice that you can, acknowledge those feelings and then maybe just let them go with breath. So coming to your breath, just take a nice inhale in through the nose and release out through the mouth. First a big sigh, just a big letting go. And then we'll take our breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, And breathe out through the nose, letting the belly soften. So as you continue with a few rounds of that belly or diaphragmatic breath, just going to share a few things with you. As you know, I like to share little quotes or thoughts of inspiration, sometimes at the beginning of practice, sometimes at the end, sometimes both. So a few things that I came across thinking about what we're all dealing with. When you can't control what's happening, challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening. That is where your power is. So breath is something we can have some control over. So pranayama, part of our yoga practice. So hopefully you're just continuing with a little bit of this slow, gradually deepening belly breath. And then maybe we can cultivate this into our practice in daily life. So gratitude and attitude are not challenges, they are choices. So perhaps adopting an attitude of gratitude, be bringing that into our hearts, bringing it as an intention for today's practice, and again, something we could take off the mat. And then finally, as we arise each morning, let us determine to respond with more love and kindness to whatever might come our way. So that attitude of gratitude, the perspective of glass half full instead of half empty. So breathe that into your hearts, maybe setting that as your intention, maybe letting your next few breaths get a little deeper, a little longer, drawing that breath from the belly up into the rib cage and up into the upper chest. Exhaling as if you're emptying that glass from top to bottom. Alrighty, so let's begin to introduce a little movement. We're not going to sit here the whole hour in mindfulness, but I thought it was important to start that way. So if you're lying down, maybe just start to circle out those wrists and ankles, and maybe bring your knees up, feet grounded, and sway side to side a little bit. Windshield wipers. If you're seated, again, maybe just any small movements to get ourselves ready to make some more moves. And then if you are on your back, if you could join me in Sukhasana, in easy seat. Again, perhaps seated upon a blanket or a beach towel or whatever you might have around, just to help level out that pelvis, give us a little bit straighter spine, and let your hands relax on top of your knees. So we're going to inhale, draw those shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, bring them back and down. So a few rounds of these nice shoulder rolls. I know it feels really good. I carry a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, so this is helping to ease some of that. All righty. Let's bring our palms to heart center, taking a breath here, maybe reconnecting to that intention. And then let's bring our arms out to a goalpost position. And we're going to inhale, draw those elbows back a little bit more, sort of connecting our shoulder blades towards the spine. Exhale, bring our hands forward to meet in front, elbows touch. Inhale, open wide. Exhale, come back to meet. Inhale, opening. This time on your exhale, bring your right elbow over into a twist over towards the left. Exhale, come on back. Inhale, open a little wider. Exhale, bring left elbow across towards the right side. And come on back, open. Inhale, breathe here. Exhale. Next inhale, drop your right hand. Let your left hand come behind your head. Exhale, take a little side bend towards the right. Inhale, come back to center. Cactus arms. Exhale. Inhale, left hand drops down, right comes behind the head. Exhale, little side bend towards the left. Inhale, back to center, cactus arms, breathe. Bring palms towards each other. We'll inhale, lengthen towards the sky. Exhale, let fingertips come down to the floor on each side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bringing your right arm down to the floor. We'll inhale, lengthen through that left arm and take a side bend towards the right. We'll stay here and breathe. Opening up, connecting that, or rooting down that left sitting bone as we reach our fingertips to the sky. Come on back to center, both arms lift up. Exhale, left arm down. Inhale, lengthen through the right fingertips. Exhale, side bend, little hinge. Again, rooting down through the right sitting bone so that hip doesn't rise up. Breathing into that right side body. Inhale, come on back to center, big lift. This time as we exhale, we're going to twist towards the right. Exhale, let your arms just float down. Maybe that right hand comes to, or left hand comes to your right knee, right arm behind you. We'll inhale, get a little taller through the spine. Exhale, soften. Inhale, lift forward and up. Arms rise up to the middle. Exhale, coming down to the left side. Right arm reaching across, left behind you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, soften. Maybe into a little bit of more of a twist. Another breath here. And exhale. Inhale, back to center. We'll again twist towards the right, letting those arms drop down. This time, next inhale, bring your right arm over and across to your left shoulder. Left hand comes up to right. Inhale. Exhale, give yourself a little hug, a little self-compassion here this morning. So breathing, squeezing, hugging on that exhale. Stay here or lift up into an eagle arm wrap. You put the back of the hands together or palm meets palm. Bring your elbows a little farther away from your nose, opening up that back body. And we'll let that go. We'll lift our arms up, big inhale, twisting to the left and letting arms come on down. Inhale, lift that left arm, draw it across to right shoulder. Right hand comes up to left. And again, we hug on that exhale, squeezing. Elbows are up, fingers grab maybe even our shoulder blades, or coming up to that eagle arm wrap once again. Breathing here, opening up across the shoulder blades, elbows push forward. And then sweep those arms up, big inhale. And connect back to our hearts. All right, let's make our way into tabletop. So hands and knees, perhaps using that blanket, if you had one under your sitting bones or a beach towel or whatever. If you want a little cushioning under your knees for tabletop, go right ahead and set that up in the middle of your mat. I think I will probably leave mine off to the side for now. So we know in tabletop, we like things stacked, lined nicely, joint over joint. But first, just a reminder that our fingers are going to be spread wide. Okay, and maybe, I'll go this way, maybe those shoulders open out a little bit so that your index finger is pointing towards 12 o'clock. It's just going to give us a nice little opening at the shoulders. So, making sure our shoulders are aligned over our wrists, our hips settled in over our knees, the tops of the feet pressing flat into the mat. Nice flat neutral spine, tabletop. So just root down into all these connections, feeling grounded, feeling strong. And then we'll start in with a little bit of a spinal opener, our cats and cows. So let your belly dip down, let the tailbone rise, gaze out over the front end of your mat, not way up at the sky. And then as you exhale, rounding the spine, letting your head dip down. Maybe you're looking back towards your legs and you can check that your feet aren't really too visible behind you. And ease back into a cow, drawing the shoulder blades together on the spine as we open the heart forward, tailbone lifts. Exhaling, draw that belly in, navel up. And you can go as far as you like in these cats and cows. Go with what feels good for your spine. Maybe even if you're craving a little side-to-side opening, do that. Intersperse between cats and cows. You could also circle around, getting into the hips a little bit more. Back towards your heels. And forward. If you do a circle, maybe switching your direction. Again, your practice, your flows, and want it to feel good. All right, we'll come back to our starting point. And that doesn't want to stay still on the scrub. All right, so we'll come on back to tabletop, neutral spine. Let's take our right foot and just drag it along the mat. All right, keeping in contact with the ball of the foot. Press your heel back towards the back wall. And take a few breaths here. Engage that belly a little bit so we stay nice and strong here. And then we're going to shift forward. We'll lift the foot to about hip height. Toes pointing straight down. Let's lift up, if you're ready, left arm forward into a spinal balance. All right, thumb pointing upward, pinky down, extending long through those left fingertips, back with the right heel. Bring the hand back down. Before you lower that leg, let's cross it over towards the left side, dropping the toes down. Or maybe taking a peek back over your left shoulder, feeling that nice side stretch up the right side. And again, breathe here. All right, that right leg will come back and you can drop the knee down into place. Move around a little bit if you need to. Hands got sore. Take a little circle. And then we'll meet back in our tabletop and take the left leg straight back. All right, once again, we'll press back through the left heel and breathe here. Tuck that belly in just a little bit. Shifting forward to lift the left leg. to hip height, toes pressing down, and maybe that right arm wants to reach up, coming into spinal balance, or you can stay with both hands down, just pressing back through the foot. Hand is lifted, again, those fingers reach forward, heel back, breathe. Hand comes down, and before we lower that foot, we'll take it across to the right side. Let the toes come down, and maybe take a peek back over the right shoulder. Breathing into that left side body. We'll bring the foot back towards center and take left knee down. Let's come into a child's pose. So let the knees come apart, toes towards each other, settling your hips back towards your heels, letting your head come down to the mat. And you're right in that forehead, that third eye space to the floor. If that just doesn't feel comfortable getting down that far, maybe the blanket, maybe a little hand pillow, or even fists, block, whatever you have to bring the floor a little closer to you if that's just not comfortable with your head the whole way down. But we want a little support there, just a little grounding into that third eye space or point of intuition. And breathe. This should be a comfortable pose that you can come to at any point in practice. If we are doing something that just isn't in your practice or working for you, place to rest and reset. Also, I should have said earlier, maybe you prefer more of the puppy alignment with the hips over the knees and just melting the body down if this amount of flexion is too much on the hips or knees. All right, take another breath here in our child. And then start to walk your hands forward a bit. Maybe those elbows pop up off the mat. And we're going to inhale and come into a kneeling plank. So the knees are going to come a little closer together. In fact, they should line up under your hips. All right, our hip distance apart. Our hips are in front of our knees. Our feet are flat down into the mat once again. And then just shift back to extended child's, or as far back as feels comfortable. You're going to do this little flow with breath. So inhale, lifting up to kneeling plank. Draw that belly in. We're not sagging. Exhale back to child's. One more flow like that. So coming up, scoop that belly in. Draw it in. Come to kneeling plank. And exhale back to child's. Take a full breath here. We're going to inhale back to kneeling plank. This time we're lowering all the way down to our belly. So draw those elbows in close to the body. Draw the belly in, lower down, chest, chin, and then belly. Move my blocks out of your way so you can see. All right, so we are on our bellies. We have our hands right next to the rib cage. Those elbows are pointing up and back. Let's draw the shoulder blades together on the spine. We're going to press down through our feet, through the pelvis. Inhale, little baby cobra, lifting up. Nice back bend, using those back muscles. Draw those shoulder blades in. Breathe and come on back down to your mat. Take a full breath here. Inhale, come up to that baby cobra again. Seeing if you can be light on your hands. You don't have to be able to lift, but maybe give it a quick try. Exhale and lower. Inhale, lifting up. This time we'll press up to a fuller cobra, so those arms come a little straighter. And then come all the way back to extended child. Full breath here. All right, start to bring those hips up, top of our heels. We're going to tuck our toes and rise up into our first down dog. All right, downward facing dog, that upside down V. We're pressing our hips up, tailbone up to the sky, letting our chest melt forward. Okay, if you cannot maintain a nice flat back with legs extended, no worries. Bend your knees a lot. In fact, everybody just do this now. Bend deeply into your knees. Bring that tailbone up, let the chest melt forward. And see if that feels good. Maybe test out the waters trying to straighten knees. Okay, if you start losing that nice flat back, stay bent. Maybe pedal out a little bit here. And not to stay here too long in a gentle class, let's drop both knees down and come back to child's. Take a deep breath there. So we'll be coming back up into down dog again, but just to sort of rethink those things that I was talking about, as you're probably struggling saying, come on, move on. Press the heels back, maybe one at a time, sort of that walking the dog type of motion. All right, again, we want the long spine. Don't worry about bent knees. So I'm going to come back up, lifting my hips up. I'm going to tuck those toes, down dog, walking the dog a little bit, press, press, press. One heel back, then the other. You're going to look towards your hands and start walking forward. Again, bend your knees as much as you need. Or just come forward and then meet me here. All right, so we're in a forward fold, and I'm bent a lot so that I can keep my spine flat. I'm going to rise up to a halfway lift. Now maybe those knees can straighten a little more or fully. We'll bring hands to our shins. We'll create that nice spine. It's like a tabletop that you could sip your glass of wine or whatever you're going to be drinking later on it. And breathe. All right, bend those knees, come back down to that forward fold. Let your palms face each other. All right, and then start to bring your arms forward. Let your hips come back. We're going to kind of sneak into a chair here. All right, so tailbone down. Those legs are strong. They are bent. Inhale, lift up. Arms reach up, legs straighten. And exhale down to your side to mountain. All right. Nice, safe, hopefully gentle way to transition from our belly position all the way up to standing. So here we are, and let's, if you need to pause and take a drink or move around a little bit before we come into a little bit more solid mountain pose, go right ahead. And then our mountain, we're going to have our feet about hip distance apart. So again, aligning joint over joint. We're going to take some awareness or attention to our feet. That's our grounding, our rooting down. So we sort of work from bottom up. Maybe fan the toes a little bit, lift them up. As you lift your toes, maybe you can feel your arches pull up a little bit, a little engagement there, feeling the four corners, foundation of our feet. Let the toes soften back down, but still keep that root. And then a little energy up through the thighs. Maybe you feel your kneecaps draw in and up a little bit, so those quads tighten. A little bit of a belly engagement. And tailbone slightly down, only so that we're not dumping forward into an anterior pelvic tilt, but if we tuck too much, we come too far posteriorly. So like Goldilocks, find that happy middle of our pelvis in alignment. All right, from here, let's roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Maybe do that again because it feels good. And it helps set our shoulders in that nice open position. Palms forward. crown of the head to the sky. Good morning, Friday. All right, let's sweep up to tall mountain. Swan dive down, bend those knees, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bending a lot. You can swan dive or reverse up through that nice flat spine up to tall mountain. Exhale to mountain. Inhale, rising up. Exhale again, swan dive down. Lead with your heart. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Let's hinge those hips back. Let those arms come forward again, back into a chair. And breathe here. We'll hold for a few breaths. So if it feels more comfortable for you, come to heart center. Come to cactus arms. Just any way which allows you to breathe. Think about drawing that belly in, tailbone down. Legs are strong. Good. Let's rise up to a tall mountain. And exhale back into chair. Again, any arms. So we'll flow here. Inhale, rise up. Exhale to our chair. Inhale, big breath, fill up. Exhale to chair. And come on back to mountain. Nice. All right, maybe a little sway, a little movement here. All righty. So returning to mountain pose. Let's sweep our arms up. Let's interlace our fingers and bring our palms up towards the sky. We'll inhale, get even taller. Exhale, hinge to the right, side bend. Breathing here, maybe getting a little more rooted through that left foot. Feel that stretch the whole way up the left side. Come on back to center. Take a reset breath. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale to the left. Again, feeling that stretch up the right side, rooting through the right foot. Making sure those hands aren't coming too far forward. Stay nice and open. Come back to center. And let it go. All right, inhale, lift up. Adding a little twist. I'm going to twist towards my right side and let my arms come out in a nice long line. I'll turn this way. All right, big stretch here. Inhale back to center. And then exhale towards the left. With those nice long arms reaching in the opposite directions. Inhale back to center. And come back to our heart center. All right, let's come to the top of the mat. I don't know how many of you have blocks or stacks of books or something. I'll try not to do too many things that it's going to make it a lot harder if you didn't have blocks. I think I'll demo with blocks, but maybe do some with, some without. All right, so we're going to come to the top of the mat. Blocks, if you have them, are sort of right in front of your feet. We're going to inhale, lift up. Exhale, swan dive down to the mat or your blocks. Take your left foot back, okay, into a lunge. All right, so if I'm on the floor, I'm here. Just a little bit harder to have a nice heart opening, but we can do it. All right, let's drop the left knee down. We'll untuck the toes. And first, let's just walk our way up to the top of the right knee. All right, take a peek and see if your knee is over your ankle, that right leg. And maybe this left leg is back enough that getting a nice little stretch there on this hip flexor. Okay, if you need to, if you're maybe a little bit closer and not feeling much, you might have to scoot that leg back a little bit or the front leg forward. All right, so we're here. You can choose to stay here and just lengthen through the spine, or maybe take that left arm up and then add the right arm. Taking a big breath here, lifting, slight back bend if it feels okay. Exhale, let's come behind the back, maybe for a bind. If your hands don't meet to bind, just open in that direction. Nice heart opener here, and breathe. We'll inhale, lift back up and forward. Exhale to our mat or the blocks. Come off of that left knee and take a step forward. Left meeting right. Keep that bend in the knees. Just come on back up. And back to mountain. All right, hope that felt good for everybody. We will do the other side. You need to move around a little bit first, go ahead. And anytime we have these little breaks between sides or between flows, if you are craving more movement, excuse me, and want to do a flow that's in your practice, like a regular little Sunday Vinyasa flow, feel free, okay? It is your practice. Trying to keep it more on the gentle side, but again, do what feels good for you. All right, so we're back at the top of our mat. We're inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, swan, diving down. Bend those knees if you need to get to the floor or your blocks. Take your right leg back. And we'll drop that right knee down. Untuck the toes. Walk your way up to the top of the left knee. Once again, maybe we're checking on our alignment, checking to see if we feel any stretch in that back leg. Should have offered on the other side that if this isn't too friendly for your knee, you could grab your blanket and put under it, or even roll the side of your mat, excuse me, and put under that lowered knee. All right, from here, let's maybe lift the right arm up, or you can stay grounded and then follow with that left. Breathing here in this nice stretch. And then coming behind maybe for a bind. If you bound on the last side, and for me, it's usually my left hand goes on top, just naturally of my right. See if you can switch to your different side, your weird side, right? And just breathe into that heart opener. Again, you could always just come with arms reaching back and out. We'll lift forward and up. Big breath in. Exhale down to your blocks or the mat. Come off of that right knee, stepping forward, or if you choose, step back to down dog flow, but I'm coming forward with bent knees and lifting up. And exhaling back to mountain. All right, how are we all doing? Good, I hope. All right, let's try to think how I can show this that you can see me. And all right, I'm going to start at the top of my mat, and we're going to go into warrior two. So I'm taking a big giant step back with my left foot, and I'm going to line it up with the short end of the mat, right, parallel. And I'm going to take a peek before I do too much that my front, excuse me, heel is kind of intersecting that back arch, or maybe the heel. Depends on your body, your alignment, what feels good. Okay, and then we make sure we bend into the front knee, which is our right knee. And from there, let's open those arms out into a nice straight, long line, shoulder height. All right, breathing here, rooting down through both feet. Maybe take a peek towards that front foot. See if you can see your big toe. Okay, we don't want that knee kind of caving in and covering the foot or rolling out too far. So find that alignment. You're going to put some energy or pressure into that back foot, pinky toe side. All right, so we have a firm foundation. And again, breathing here, try not to lean too far forward. See if we can keep our trunk in nice straight alignment over those hips. And from here, let's take a little flow. So we'll inhale, straighten that front knee, lift our arms up. Exhale, come back to warrior two. So inhale, lift. Exhale, back to warrior two. Keep flowing with breath. Maybe one more. And back. All right, let's turn that right palm up, front palm, and come into radiant warrior. Where we get a nice big stretch the whole way up that right side. Your left arm can just slide down the leg or wrap around your back if you prefer. Breathing into this nice radiant warrior. All right, come on back to warrior two. And we'll come into side angle. So take that front forearm, rest it gently on the right thigh, lifting your left arm straight up to the sky, or maybe it angles a little bit more towards the front end of your mat, making a straight line from that outside of the left foot to your fingertips. Good. Come on back to warrior two. And I'm just going to spiral my hands down, framing out my front foot and step back. Maybe come to child's, maybe come to a flow. Or you could always step forward like we did before and wait for us all to catch up. All right. So. If you did a little flow and ended up in down dog, you can make your way back forward and come up to stand. And again, if you're already there, just shake out, do what you need to do. All right, I'm going to turn the other way just because I think it'll be easier to show warrior two on the other side. So we're at the top of our mat. We're going to take our right foot back and again find that place where we're parallel to the back edge, where we can bend our left knee then over ankle. Take a quick peek at that alignment. Left heel back towards the right arch. And then our arms come up in that nice long line. And let the shoulders relax down here. Because sometimes when we're doing these poses that may challenge us a little bit to hold for any length of time, we start finding that they're creeping up because we're tightening up all those shoulder and neck muscles. So let them relax. Breathing here, staying strong. Strong through both legs. Maybe you feel like you're drawing your legs towards each other. So that's going to fire up some muscles. All that root lock, mula bandha, belly lock, uddiyana bandha. So working it all. All right, let's take our flow from here. So inhale, lifting up, straightening that front knee. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Inhale, use your breath to flow. Again, as we come forward, we're not doing this. We're trying to keep that trunk over the hips. Good, but bend into that front knee. All right, staying here now in warrior two. We will flip the left palm up and come into our reverse or radiant warrior. Breathing here, opening up the left side. Nice. All righty, come on back to warrior two. And let's come into side angle. So bring that left forearm down to rest gently on the left thigh. Right arm reaches to the sky, or maybe a little bit more towards the front end of your mat. You can feel a little bit more stretch up the side that way. Again, we're not dumping too much onto that thigh, so when I do that, I can really feel my core engage. All good, right? And then come back to warrior two. We will again spiral down around the left foot, and your choice. Step forward and just come up to stand, or step back to down dog. Take a little flow. Always take a sip, take a rest. Lots of options. All right. So let's work on a little balance. I think we all need some balance in our perspective, in our physical body, in life. So I think today we will do eagle. We already did a little bit of eagle arm prep when we were seated. So we'll start with getting a little more rooted, a little bit more grounded in our right leg. That's going to be our one leg of eagle, or the branch that the eagle is resting upon, however you want to look at it. We'll get a little lighter on the left foot, maybe coming up on the toes, maybe sinking down a little bit lower, so a little bend in the knees. We'll bring our arms out, and we're going to bring our right arm, slide it across the left, and let's just come to shoulders. Okay, that's a nice grounded place. Another opportunity to give ourselves hugs. So from here, excuse me, we'll take that left foot up and cross it over. And it's quite all right if you do like I just did, because I was losing my balance. Come down to the floor, maybe root a little more, and then see if maybe that left foot can come up. And then maybe if you want to, you can come into the eagle arm wrap. Or if it feels more grounding, stay on those shoulders. Maybe look for something that's not moving, our drishti, our focal point. Breathing. Our eagle has to breathe, right? Again, we're using effort, so sometimes the breathing gets neglected. So there's a gentle reminder. And then maybe that eagle's gonna just take flight. Woo, and fly away. Woo. There was a lot of weight bearing on that right leg, right? Good bone building. You love it. All right, so we got another side, right? So we're gonna just kind of do the same thing. Start to now shift weight a little more into the left foot, getting a little lighter on the right. And maybe we start to sink down a little bit. Bring our arms out, and now left arm is going to travel over right, come to shoulders. You take my right foot and come up, over and across, maybe stopping down to reconnect with the floor, or you could stay there the whole time too. Again, I can't see you, and even if I could, I wouldn't be judging. All right, we're breathing, maybe eagle arm wrap, entirely up to you. And focus. Full breaths. And fly away, eagle. All right. Little movement here. And just looked at the clock, and I'm getting a little long-winded, so I think we're gonna skip one series of moves that I was gonna do, and we're just gonna come down to seated. So you can take any number of routes. You could come down into a little malasana, a little yogi squat, Or you could just come on down through hands and knees. And you're probably looking at me saying, no way, lady. Or the old plop asana. Okay, so we're down. And again, for the sake of time, I think we will come down onto our backs. So in a nice gentle way, you can lower yourself onto your back. And just a sort of a reset or reconnection. Why don't we come into recline bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, legs apart, one hand on that belly, one hand up to the heart. And breathe. I can feel my heart rate is up a bit from the eagle poses, the balance poses, and standing sequences. So now we'll slow it down a bit. All right, let's bring our knees back towards each other and plant our feet about hip distance apart, knees directed to the sky. And here I said about bringing the heart rate down, and we're going to do a bridge or two, which might increase the heart rate a little bit. They're energizing, but it's a good back bend. So we'll bring our feet in actually a little closer. What we want to have happen is when we lift the hips, we want to have our knees directed over ankles. So that's why we usually ask you to come in a little bit. Hands can come down alongside of you, or you could choose the version of fingertips towards the sky, your shoulders, triceps and elbows pressing in alongside of you. So either way, we're going to inhale, lift the hips up, energizing upward, pressing down either through your hands and forearms or those upper arms, rooting through both feet, lifting, breathing. If you find that your chin is a little too close to your chest and it's making full breaths not so available, just raise your chin slightly, not a full tilt back. And again, breathe here. And then we'll lower back down to the mat. Take your feet to the edges of your mat. Let your knees steeple, so touch together. And a breath here. If it would feel good, you could windshield wiper a bit. And then walk your feet back in. And let's take the hips and come over a little bit to the left. All right, just a little shift. I'm going to draw the knees up. Okay, so maybe they're about stacked like so. Or if you prefer, because we're going to take a twist, you can start with your toes still touching down. All right, so we're going to either go this way or this way. Come with your knees over towards the right. Arms can be out like a T, maybe cactus arms. All right, but letting those shoulder blades melt down towards the mat. And feel that nice opening here. Excuse me. Sit up so I can drink while you keep stretching there and twisting. Take one more breath in that twist. And then again, option as you come back up, both knees, you can engage that belly and bring yourself back up. Or if it feels better, bring your toes down, bend the knees up, and get ready for the other side. Again, either version. Let those knees come to the left. Arms out, arms in cactus, maybe gazing towards your right arm. Think about melting those shoulder blades down. Bring those knees back towards center and let the feet come down to the mat. All right, we're going to draw the right knee in towards the chest. Maybe bring your hands around your shin or back behind the thigh. In fact, let's all bring hands back to the thigh area. Interlace your fingers. And then take that right heel and press it up towards the sky. And breathe here. We didn't do too much hamstring stretching earlier, so we'll just get a nice stretch here before we settle in. If you would like, you could take your left leg out and down to the floor as you're pressing that right heel up. Maybe that changes the stretch for you for better or worse. If you don't really like the way that feels, come back to foot grounded, knee bent on the left side. Take another breath here. And then bend in. Maybe circle out your ankle a little bit. Heard some crackles. And bring that foot to the floor next to the left foot. All right, draw the left knee in towards the chest. Again, maybe hands behind the thigh if you want to do any little movements first. Before we stretch that leg up, you can. All right, so start to press the left heel up. And stay right there. Or straighten out the right leg. And don't worry so much about how far forward your leg goes, because see, if I do that, I'd have to bend my knee. It's just not gonna, I don't have that much flexibility. It's more important to actually have a nice straight line from your hip joint up. And if that's not happening for you either, just again, come a little farther away. Go to where you can get pretty straight on the knee, again, while pressing the heel up. All right, let that knee bend. Come back to the floor and maybe windshield wiper. Or if it feels good, you can bring knees up into the chest. And then before we come into Shavasana, I'll offer a little waterfall, a little time to invert, get the legs up. We just had each one up individually, but we'll do both. Or if you don't really want to do waterfall, you could just do that nice extended, supported, restorative bridge. So I grabbed my block and placed it underneath the sacrum, part of the spine. But if I didn't have a block, or I didn't like the feel of the block, maybe just a blanket or a beach towel or something to give you a little bit of a lift. Okay, instead of just flat on the back. And then, as I mentioned, possibly wanting to come into waterfall, both legs up to the sky. And your waterfall can have some movement. You can point and flex the toes if that would feel good. Spread them out. Make circles with your ankles. Anything else that feels good for you, or just hold in stillness. Palms up, keeps us in a nice heart opening position. And when you're ready, float those feet back down to the mat. We'll lift up off of any prop you had beneath you. And once again, maybe a little hug, maybe a little good morning stretch. It's now a little past noon, so good afternoon stretch, right? And just breathe. And if you want to take any other bit of movement before we come to stillness, maybe a happy baby, grabbing those feet, or just back around the thighs, but opening the knees out and away from the chest and letting them come a little in more towards the armpits, feet directed at the ceiling as if you're going to put footprints up there. And if you find that your tailbone rocks up, see if you can just plant it back down and breathe. All right, it's that time to settle down into Shavasana. So if you would like to get any layers on, socks, shirts, what have you, or grab any props to make you more comfortable, maybe a blanket under your knees if you're lying down, under your head, a blanket over you. Some people like the weight of a blanket over the hips. So again, just explore a few minutes and get yourselves settled so you can come to a place of comfort and stillness. And again, if you're lying down, maybe the palms open to the sky, backs of the hands resting a little bit away from the body, if that's comfortable. And close your eyes. Bring your awareness back inward, letting the breath soften and just feel a sense of ease. We're not trying to control the breath anymore, just letting it be, letting it happen. So maybe that belly just sort of ebbs and flows, rises slightly and falls, just like a little wave at low tide. So get yourself, again, comfortable and take a few moments to just be in the present and come back to that intention, maybe of an attitude of gratitude, glass half full, and find some peace. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out, let go. With each breath, bring a little energizing movement back into the body, starting with just little movements, maybe rubbing your thumb across your fingertips, circling out wrists, ankles, spreading those toes, squeezing. Again, adding any movement that feels good to you. And when you're ready, just roll over to one side, whichever, again, is more comfortable for you. Before we come back to seated, I wanted to share another reading. It's a little bit longer, but I think it's, again, timely. This was shared through Facebook by Jen Roth, who was a fitness teacher training graduate from 2 years ago, I believe, already. And I thought this was wonderful. So here's what she said before the actual reading. For all of you parents who are home and beating yourself down for not having it all together and stressing over how messy the house is or how you're going to pay your bills, don't lose perspective. You are not alone. Focus your energy on connecting with your kids and making them feel safe and loved. Have fun with them. Have living room dance parties. Let them bake their favorite treats with you. Explore in nature with them. You will never have a time like this with them again. So, the reading says, it's 2030, college kid. In history class, we learned that the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 was really bad. What was it like? A parent. Well, everything was shut down in an attempt to kill the virus, but not everyone followed the order to quarantine for 15 days, so it lasted longer than anyone expected. Many people died who shouldn't have. Grocery stores were out of everything because people were hoarding as much as they could. We were scared of economic failure for our country and for ourselves because we couldn't work. Don't you remember? You were 8. College kid. All I remember was the school closing and being homeschooled. I remember doing scavenger hunts in our yard. I remember eating meals as a family for a change. I remember getting great sleep because I wasn't up late for homework or getting up early for school. I remember board games as a family. I remember watching our pastor on our laptop. Honestly, it was the happiest time of my childhood. Don't lose perspective. So when I read that for the first time, it actually brought tears to my eyes because, I'm not in quite that same situation, but I have 8-year-old grandchildren, and maybe you're not in the same situation, but you can certainly appreciate how perspective is vital. So come on up to your easy seat. Come back and join me. And we'll bring our hands back to our heart center, reconnecting with ourselves, with each other in love and light. Let's take a big breath, reaching up to that sky. Exhale back to heart center. The light in me truly sees and feels the light in each and every one of you. I'm grateful that you practiced with me this morning. Let's bow to that divine light and love within all of us and seal our practice with namaste.